Good day, everyone. I'm William, and I'll be talking about climate change. However, I'll start by elaborating what is the difference of climate and weather just to get us on the same playing field. Weather is the atmospheric conditions at a specific place at a specific point in time. It is the day to day temperature and precipitation that we experience, such as rainy, sunny, windy. Whereas for climate, it is the prevailing weather conditions of a region over a long period of time in a larger scope, such as tropical, temperature, among others. Given the definition of climate, so what really is a climate change? It is identified by changes in the climate mean and or variability of its properties and that persists for an extended period, typically decades or longer, whether due to natural variability or as a result of human activity. So natural causes involves volcanic eruptions and decay of organic matter, among others. So some anthropogenic activities or human causes that aggravates climate change comes from the improper solid waste management or excessive illegal logging, use of fossil fuels, and many more. Given the different sources of emissions, these are the examples of the greenhouse gases being produced due to due and thus having the greenhouse effect. So these greenhouse gases involves carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, halocarbons, and ozone. So like a greenhouse is a building with glass walls and a glass roof that are used to grow plants. Inside the greenhouse, it stays warm even during cold seasons. That's because the glass hole walls of the greenhouse trap the sun's heat like what the greenhouse gases are doing with our planet. The greenhouse effect is a process that occurs when gases in Earth's atmosphere trap the sun's heat. The greenhouse gas, the greenhouse effect rather, is one of the things that makes Earth a comfortable place to live. However, due to the increase in the amount of carbon dioxide and some other greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, too much of these gases can cause Earth's atmosphere to trap more and more heat. This causes Earth to warm and resulting to climate change. All over the world, people, countries, nations are experiencing climate change in diverse ways. It affects our health, ability to grow food, housing, safety, and work. So this is an example what happens to different countries, like the wildfires they are currently experiencing. Intense blizzard and snowing, melting of mountaintop ice and glaciers have also increased, frequent flooding of cities and increased intensity of typhoons. So conditions like sea level rise and saltwater intrusion have advanced to the point where whole communities have to relocate. Just what like happened with Kiribati, and protracted droughts are putting people at risk of famine. In the future, more and more of different people in the world will be called as climate refugees. So some of us are already more vulnerable to climate impacts, such as people living in small island nations and other developing countries like the Philippines. According to Maplecroft Climate Change Vulnerability Index in 2016, the Philippines is considered to be the 13th most vulnerable country in the world. Sea level rise in the Philippines is projected to rise 2 to 3 times faster than the global average. So what will happen? So according to the University of Los Baños Climate Change Program, that a total of 167,290 hectares of seashore land in 171 coastal towns under these provinces will go underwater due to a 1 meter sea level rise. So at least 13.6 million Filipinos may have to relocate to a higher elevation due to this sea level rise. So the picture you are now seeing was in Dapitan, Zamboanga del Norte, which was affected by intense flooding, where people were relocated in order to be safe from the disaster. Lower number of typhoon, however, more intense typhoons enter the country, like Yolanda, which ravaged Tacloban to unfathomable experience. Drought in Cotabato, at least 11,604 hectares of rice fields and 3,120 hectares of cornfields in the region have been affected by the drought. About 71,000 families or 359,000 individuals have been hit by the dry season. We have faced a huge challenge but already know many climate change solutions can deliver economic benefits while improving our lives and protecting the environment. We have global frameworks and agreements to guide progress of a country, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, and the Paris Agreement. The ultimate goal or objective of the UNFCCC convention is to stabilize greenhouse gas concentration at a level that will prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. Meanwhile, the Paris Agreement was a convention in which for the first time brings all nations into common cause to undertake ambitious efforts to combat climate change and adapt to its effects. On the other hand, an assembly was also done to adopt the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development that includes 17 the Sustainable Development Goals, building on the principle of leaving no one behind. So we must act now and sustain our actions towards a healthy environment. Policymakers and government agencies should create sound, effective, and well-rounded policies and regulations that are holistic and science-based towards achieving a climate resilient country and commit with the net zero emissions by 2050 and to keep warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius while inducing behavioral change to the people towards safeguarding, managing our environment.